Okay, let's take a closer look at the waggle dance and how the waggle dance can indicate direction to food. Let's first focus on the top part of the diagram here. What we have here is a horizontal surface that would be outside the hive. The bee has just been visiting the food source and has come back and is preparing to dance. In fact, it's already dancing here. So it walks around here, it waggles, it walks around here, it waggles, walks around here, it waggles. Now, if you look carefully, the direction of the waggle appears to be in a straight line towards the food. In other words, it looks here as if the orientation of the waggle, the direction of that waggle, is signaling where the direction to the food source. Well, that's pretty straightforward. The problem is that most bees are not dancing on a horizontal surface outside their hive. They're dancing inside the hive on a vertical surface. And so the challenge will be, how will the bee communicate the location of the food when they are inside a hive? They're not on a horizontal surface. They can't just waggle and point to the location of the food. It wouldn't work on a vertical surface inside the hive. So they have to have some kind of other system to communicate the direction of food when you're inside the hive dancing on a vertical surface. Now, to see how this system works, let's just go back up to this diagram and notice we do have the sun's position here, and we've drawn a line, not from the sun to the bee, but from the horizon, where the sun is above the horizon, wherever that is. That we'll call that the horizon line towards the sun. So notice this makes an angle. The horizon line to the bee, from the bee to the food, happens to be a 40-degree angle. But none of the other bees really need to understand that if, when you're outside dancing on a horizontal surface, all you got to do is sort of fly off in the direction where the waggle is pointing. But this angle will become important when we understand in order to understand how the bees are communicating inside a darkened hive and dancing on a vertical surface. So take a look down here, and what we have is the same bee. The food is 40 degrees to the right of the horizon line, just like up here. Except now, look at what the 40-degree angle is showing. The waggle, as danced on a vertical surface, the waggle part is making a 40-degree angle with the vertical dimension, with a line that is vertical on that vertical surface inside the hive. In other words, just as the waggle here is pointing to the food, and it happens to be 40 degrees to the right of the horizon line, what the bee will do if it has to dance inside the hive is it will dance that waggle part at an angle from the vertical equivalent to the angle that the food is with the horizon line. So if the food is 40 degrees to the right of the horizon line, then the bee inside will be on a vertical surface, and it will know which way is up. That's the vertical reference point, and it will orient its waggle dance to make a 40-degree angle with the vertical. That tells other bees that the food is 40 degrees to the right of the horizon line. So the vertical line here is the reference, and that represents the horizon line towards the sun. The angle that the waggle dance makes with that vertical is the angle that the food is with respect to the horizon line. Okay, so now let's take a look at another example. So here we have the waggle is 40 degrees with respect to the vertical, and that signifies that the food is 40 degrees with respect to the horizon line. So the line going from the horizon to the sun to the beehive out to the food is 40 degrees. What if the waggle were going down? So the bee's walking, waggle downward, walks around here, waggle downward. Remember, the up would be the horizon line out towards the sun. So a waggle downward would indicate to bees inside the hive that the direction of the food is in the opposite direction to the horizon line towards the sun. So over here we can see a downward waggle would mean that the food is not towards the sun, but 180 degrees away from the sun. Right? So again, a down waggle means the food is at a 180-degree direction away from the horizon line to the sun. An up waggle would mean it's towards the sun, the horizon line towards the sun. And any angle in between tells the bee where the food is relative to the horizon line. It's helpful sometimes to just have different diagrams to see how this system works. So here's yet another diagram. We have the hive here, and the food is located here. It happens to be in the direction of the sun. The sun is located here, so the horizon line would be sort of directly in towards the food here. And so inside the hive, on that vertical surface, the bee that came from this food source is going to make the up dance. So the waggle will go vertically up, because remember that vertical reference line is the horizon line towards the sun. And since the food is in the same direction as the sun, the waggle part of the dance will be in the opposition. Notice here's the sun again, the horizon line. The food in this case makes a 45-degree angle. Food to the hive to the horizon line, 45 degrees. It's 45 degrees to the right of the horizon line. So deep inside the hive, the waggle dance is going to be 45 degrees to the right of the vertical, right? And that's going to inform the other bees that when they come out of the hive, they're going to locate the horizon line and then fly in a 45-degree angle to the right, and then fly off in this direction, and they'll find the food. So again, when the bees inside are sort of observing the dance of a foraging bee that just came back from a food source, what they're going to do is leave the hive, locate the horizon line, right, and then from the hive go set off at the appropriate angle with respect to that horizon line. The angle of the waggle with respect to the vertical is the same as the angle of the food with respect to the horizon line.